Tastefully Scheming. Written by FE3H. Read by Ashe. This week has been excruciatingly slow. Claude's certain he's aged at least a year. Lectures drag on, information going in one ear and right out the other. The clock at work seems to only move in 5-minute increments. Less if a customer wants to argue about their coffee being too hot or too cold. These kind of annoyances are just a blip in the day, easily forgotten as soon as he crosses the threshold of his apartment and collapses into the arms of the one person who never fails to cheer him up. Unfortunately, that person isn't there. Claude sighs as an announcement informs him that his train is running 15 minutes behind schedule. He tries, and fails, to not take it personally. The apartment will still be empty, so what's a few more minutes of travel? Gods, he's missing Ashe terribly this week. He misses the bright smile and the excitement in his eyes when the hero of the day wins in this current novel he's reading. He misses those same wide, peridot eyes hiding in Claude's chest during a scary movie. He even misses those novels poking him in the back at night, pages creased and Ashe asleep in the middle of just one more chapter. It's ridiculous, really, when he thinks about it. Ashe had this trip planned for months, his usual summer trip to see his siblings. So it's not like this was an unexpected absence. Normally, Claude would have taken the time off to accompany him, but he had a few too many papers to write, and a handful of shifts needing peak hour coverage. It was just poor timing. Claude leans his head against the window, watching the sunset and the city as the train picks up speed, thundering once again towards its destination. The city is quiet for now, that almost liminal time between the after-work rush and the spark of neon nightlife. The sky fades beyond the buildings into warm oranges and pinks, as if nature itself is trying to comfort him, tell him not to worry, and that a new day is on the horizon. He just has to get to tomorrow. Ashe will be home tomorrow, the universe will right itself, and time will move at a natural pace once again. The train finally pulls into the empty station almost 30 minutes later than scheduled. His footsteps make no sound as he moves down the platforms and through the terminal, emphasizing the lonely feelings in his mind. The walk back to the apartment is uneventful, and when he unlocks the door to the lobby, the hallway smells like heaven. Behind almost every closed door are the scents and sounds of his neighbors, making or just finishing dinner. Claude takes a deep breath, inhaling the scent that permeates the air around him, in spite of the ache they put in his heart. He indulges in thoughts of days, not unlike today, when he and Ashe would be dancing around each other in their kitchen, a dash of salt here, onion powder and red peppers there, garnished with a chaste kiss or a teasing, wandering touch. A laugh brings him out of his reverie, and back into the apartment lobby. Claude sighs. Tomorrow, he reminds himself again, a mantra he repeats, hoping that by saying it over and over and over, he'll make the day arrive faster. The stairs creak as he climbs to his own door and slides the key into the lock. When it turns, the lock doesn't click as it should. It's already open. Claude looks around for any signs of intruders or break-ins. The apartment isn't in any unsafe neighborhood by any means, and only residents have keys to the lobby doors. But Claude knows from experience, if there's a will, there's a way. The landing and hallway is brightly lit with no ominous flickering lights. Across the hall, his neighbor's doormat is undisturbed, and he can see the faint outline of their extra key hidden beneath it. Nothing looks out of place. He holds his key between his fingers and slowly opens the door. Inside, the apartment is warm and bright, the sounds of cooking and running water coming from the kitchen. He moves forward silently and is greeted by an unlikely but hardly unwelcome sight. Surprise! Welcome home! Claude stares at his boyfriend, dumbfounded. What are you doing here? Ashe turns on the faucet and dries his hands on the kitchen towel sitting over his shoulder. When he turns to face Claude, he's grinning from ear to ear, mischief evident in his green eyes. I live here, he replies, cheekily without missing a beat. Claude shakes his head. No, I know that. I meant you're not supposed to be home until tomorrow. Ashe chuckles, clearly reveling in catching his partner off guard. That's the surprise part. Claude's eyes wander, recommitting every part of Ashe to memory. His silver hair is parted to one side and shines metallic, even in the cool blue light of the kitchen. It's soft as fleece, Claude's sure of it, and his fingers itch to run through the strands and scratch the buzzed underside. The bridge of his nose is pink, like he'd spent a little too much time in the sun without sunscreen. Claude should fuss over it. Ashe burns so easily, but he can't bring himself to be too upset. Ashe is home. Finally. Claude drops his bag and keys to the floor, wrapping Ashe in his arms. Ashe laughs, and smiles that smile that, no matter what, helped relieve Claude's tension. A smile that says, home. Boring lectures, rude customers, lengthy train rides. None of that matters anymore. His loneliness vanishes in the strength of the embrace. All too soon, Ashe taps his shoulders. Let go of me for a second. Claude shook his head, rubbing against the side of Ashe's face. Did he not shave this morning? Don't wanna, he protests. Ashe kissed his cheek. I know, but dinner will burn if you don't. With a soft groan, Claude releases his teasing boyfriend, but only for a moment. If Ashe turns back to the stove, Claude comes up behind him, wrapping his arms around Ashe's middle and leaning over his shoulder. Smells amazing. Can I help? Sure. Wanna get started on the potatoes? He nods, letting his touch linger as long as he can, before he grabs a cutting board from one of the bottom cabinets. How do you want these cut? He asks, taking a potato from its resting place in the sink. A rough dice should be fine, Ashe replies, beginning to get lost in the monotony of cooking. Not too small. Bite-sized. About an inch or so big. They'll roast nicely that way. Usually, Claude finds this endearing. Ashe's knowledge and skill in the kitchen is almost unparalleled, and when he cooks, he puts so much love and care into every dish. Today, however, this normally charming quality of his love is discouraging. They've been apart for a week, and, while he's never one to balk from a meal or feast, Claude can't help but wish they were doing anything other than cooking right now. Oh, now there's an idea. With the gears in his mind turning, he sets the cutting board and potato on the counter, takes a knife from the drawer, and pauses. So, how does one dice a potato exactly? You cut them in half, then cut the halves in thirds, and then into cubes. Claude hums questioningly. In half which way? Hamburger or hot dog? Ashe stops his own knife work on a clove of garlic to stare incredulously at his partner. Are you serious? Claude shrugs. Sorry, I still have a lot to learn. Can you show me? Ashe lets out an annoyed sigh and turns the stove burner to a lower setting. Wiping his hands on the towel over his shoulder, he saddles up behind Claude, taking his hands and guiding his movements. Lengthwise first, he instructs patiently, pushing firmly on Claude's knife hand and cutting through the potato. Then set one of the halves on the flat side and cut it into thirds lengthwise. Then take the thirds and cut them into cubes, to try and keep them about the same size so they'll cook evenly. Claude barely hears the instructions. His skin is electric as Ashe glides his movements, and his senses are enveloped in everything Ashe. His voice is a melody, music to Claude's ears, his favorite song. He smells of the Deirdre sunshine, the beach, and a hint of mint. Whether it's the remnants of toothpaste or Ashe's favorite tea, Claude can't say for sure. Gods, how he's missed this. Missed these little moments. Just the two of them doing nothing of importance. Just sharing space with Ashe again. Settles his mind and calms his anxieties. He relaxes back into his boyfriend's chest and tilts his head to place a gentle kiss on Ashe's chin. Ashe stops his movements. You're being obtuse on purpose, aren't you? He asks fondly. It's more of a statement than a question. His frustration vanished despite being caught in the trap. Claude hums contently. Of course not, he says with mock offense, and another kiss. Okay, maybe a little. Another kiss, his lips tingling as they brush across the light 5 o'clock shadow on Ashe's skin. But you're such a good teacher. Ashe releases Claude's hands and turns him around, bringing them face to face. Hey, are you okay? He asks, carefully brushing back Claude's hair and searching his eyes for any signs of discomfort and stress. Not that I'm complaining, don't misunderstand. Claude leans into the touch and huffs a laugh. I'm fine, I promise. I didn't mean to worry you. Are you sure? He nods. It's just been a long week. I missed you a lot. More than usual, I mean. His hands begin wandering up Ashe's shirt, brushing over his chest. It's a slow and playful touch, a mild declaration of interest, asking for permission. The fabric of his t-shirt is smooth under his hands, unable to completely hide Ashe's toned torso. Ashe's breath hitches as Claude's hands come to rest over his heart. Ashe's eyes follow every movement, his cheeks flushing deeply. Claude smirks. His boyfriend's always been quick to fluster. Oh! Ashe stutters as he smiles, his own hands trailing down Claude's back and coming to rest at his hips. Ashe teases the top of his waistband, following Claude's lead. I missed you too. Claude's smirk melts into a genuine smile as he touches their noses together and brings a hand further up, stroking the rough patch of peach fuzz on Ashe's cheek. Ashe giggles, not yet used to Claude's appreciation of his facial hair. Claude pauses to gaze hungrily into those sparkling green eyes, then tilts his head, finally claiming Ashe's lips fully. Ashe surges into the kiss, desperate and wanting, pulling Claude flush against him. His lips part without hesitation, and Claude moans against him. The kitchen fades to nothing as they get lost in the sensations of each other. Suddenly, Ashe taps a hand on Claude's chest and pulls away, panting. Wait, wait! Claude whines and chases Ashe's lips as he steps away. Though he doesn't go far, Ashe snaps the dial for the stove burner off, covers the pan, and tosses the towel on the counter. He steps back into Claude's space, eyes bright and eager. Okay, we're good. Claude laughs at the practicality his partner has, even in moments like this. Is this gonna be all right if we leave it for a while? He asks, feigning concern. The meal is the last thing on his mind. Mm-hmm, Ashe nods. Worst case, we've done all the prep for tomorrow's dinner. I like the way you think. Claude kisses him again quickly before Ashe takes his hands and pulls him down the hall to their bedroom.